time, I would ask that numbers 11 through 21 begin approaching the staging area over to my right. Megan.
My name is Marcia Good, 2089 240th Street, Boone. Good morning. My husband Doug and I own a farm in Boone County that is in the path of the proposed Bakken pipeline. My family has farmed in Boone County since 1856. My sons both farm with their father, and my grandchildren represent the 7th generation to be potentially involved in agriculture. In October of 1979, I took my mother to Living History Farms to see Pope John Paul II. In his sermon on that day, he charged Iowans with being good stewards of the land to protect it for future generations. The Pope was not just addressing farmers during his speech. Caring for the land is everyone's responsibility. We all realize that Iowa has some of the most productive land in the world. Iowa is in the business of agriculture, not the crude oil business. We plant seeds in our soil that grow to nourish the world. We don't want anything planted in our land that could potentially be harmful. But even though we own the land, we don't get to choose whether or not the pipeline goes into our farmland. We must defer to you, the Iowa Utilities Board, for that decision. Please know that Pope John Paul II included you when he instructed all of us to be good stewards of this precious commodity. Consider your responsibility carefully. When all the evidence is weighed, the wisest, most judicious choice is to vote no to the pipeline project in order to protect Iowa for present and future generations. Thank you.
Ryan Hollenrick, 1209 Frontier Road, Elston, Iowa. Members of the Utility Board, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm the coordinator of the Apprenticeship and Training Program for Operating Engineers Local 234. There are over 2,400 members in the state of Iowa. I'm here to speak on their behalf today. Our members live and work throughout all of Iowa. I'm here to express our members' support for the Dakota Access project and urge the board to grant the permit for the construction. The Dakota Access project creates jobs and careers, benefits the local and state economy. The majority of infrastructure projects such as Dakota Access provide economic benefits in the form of local sales tax and property taxes as well. Our members support using renewable energy resources, but the fact remains that we are relying on petroleum products for fuel for our farm tractors, plastics, and medical equipment. And domestic oil production is preferred to the millions of barrels of U.S. imports each day. Pipelines are the safest method of transportation of raw products. Just within the past few days, trains derailed in Wisconsin and forced the evacuation of homes. Our members are highly trained and use the latest technology to safely install pipelines across the country. Despite critics, the fact is the majority of landowners in Iowa where the pipeline crosses support the project. And nearly 73% of landowner tracts have been closed through voluntary easements. As the coordinator for the apprenticeship program, major infrastructure projects such as Dakota Access will offer a career path, not a temporary job. Regardless of what critics say in the press, the apprenticeship opportunities lead to careers, allowing our members not to just build their professional futures, but build their homes and families right here in Iowa. With the national attention on college student debt, the construction trades offer an alternative to young men and women who choose not to.
Thank you, honorable members of the Iowa Utility Board. I'm Carolyn Raffensperger, and it is 3703 Woodland in Iowa. You know, there's two kinds of information out there about this particular pipeline. One set of information is advertising. It's sort of the kind of pie-in-the-sky best guesses about what this pipeline will give. And so we hear ranges, and we hear really interesting information about the jobs and about the economic contributions. That is all advertising. The information that you can rely on that is the equivalent of the report card that you get back from your 15-year-old school, is the kind of information that you must rely on in making this decision. The information that I would like to report here today as part of my testimony comes from the annual report of Energy Transfer Partners, both the 2013 and the 2014 annual report, and then various websites that record the data of the oil and gas industry, both by the federal government and the North Dakota government. I'd like to begin with one fact, and that was that in May 2013, there were 315 wells in the Bakken oil fields of North Dakota. Last week, there were 64. The Bakken oil field is in free fall, it is no longer viable, and to consider a pipeline now for the Bakken oil field is a disaster. That is not going to be financially sustainable. The second fact is that this is a master limited partnership. Master limited partnerships pay no federal or state taxes. So all of that economic pie in the sky advertising that they're giving is actually only the kinds of numbers that they're going to build on the backs of the temporary construction forces, the kinds of taxes that they expect to pay for pie along the Ragbri route or whatever else it might be. Those are not accurate.
Live in 8203 Dakota Drive, West Des Moines, Iowa. Good morning and thank you for the opportunity to comment today. Again, my name is Kevin Olson, and I support the Dakota project concerning the ability for the grant permit for construction. We are important to our future, and economic well-being and violence. Serves as an instructor for the Iowa Operating Engineer, Local 234, covers 92 of the 99 counties in Iowa. We currently have 95 apprentices in our training program, and projects like Dakota Access provide these students with experience and knowledge and hands-on training as they build their career within the trade. The Dakota Access project, the contractors identified contract, construct this project, using Iowa workers and to install the pipeline. These Iowans are trained here, live here, work here, and pay taxes here. It isn't a temporary job like the opponents may suggest. It is a career opportunity for many Iowans and their families. As an instructor, I oversee the training and field experience of our apprentices. Our workers are using the latest in technology and equipment and trained to ensure the pipeline is installed to meet the highest standards. The Dakota Access project not only provides an opportunity for jobs and training, but helps build our country's energy and independence, and the pipeline will divert oil from rail cars and bring rail car benefits and farmers from moving forward. Again, I thank you for the opportunity, and appreciate it.
I'm Ed Christensen, 827 Jefferson Street, Iowa City, Iowa. I'm a member of 100 grantees for a Classic American future. This issue is not a question of the safety of pipe or rail. It is not a question of jobs. It's a question of an inhabitable world. It is a question of the rights of we the people. Let me read you a few lines from the Iowa Constitution. Rights of persons. All persons have certain rights, among those acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuing and obtaining safety and happiness. Section 2, political power. All political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit of the people. Section 8, personal security. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable seizures and searches shall not be violated. What is eminent domain by an out-of-state nonprofit corporation other than unreasonable seizure? How dare a public regulatory board consider this? How dare Dakota Access consider this? What do you say to the folks hit by disasters by the 2010 pipeline spill that polluted 800,000 gallons of oil into the Kalamazoo River, or the pipeline break in 2011 that spilled 63,000 gallons into the Yellowstone River, or in Arkansas in 2013 a breach that spilled 210,000 gallons into a town of Mayflower? No amount of cleanup or no amount of fines can undo the damage done.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Randy Harris, 624-470 Baltimore. And I'm here today to support the project and support the Dakota Access pipeline. And encourage the Iowa Utility Board that the absolute correct answer is that this project is in the public necessity. We've heard over and over here about the job opportunities and construction career opportunities. I'm here today to represent 4,000 construction craft laborers and their families that work in the state of Iowa. They will benefit from this project. It will help sustain careers, schools, homes, small businesses, and anything else that you're doing a part of this. Additionally, you've heard a lot about the 2 dozen business support project. The Board registered in poll, the vast majority of Iowans support this project. Be that as it may, again, the vast majority of Iowans support this project based on a scientific poll. The vast majority of landowners affected by this support the project and give them voluntary easements to use the land. This project is absolutely a public necessity. I encourage the Iowa Utilities Board to support the project and grant a permit. This will help not just the construction workers of Iowa, but all the people of Iowa. This project is absolutely a public necessity.
That will create additional production and use of oil and increase global warming emissions. Exactly the opposite of what we need. I was Richard, sustainable energy of boosting economy and farming activity. Today, we have 5,700 megawatts of power from the wind. That has created 6,000 long-lasting local jobs. Iowa has 570,000 megawatts of potential wind power with a value of $111 billion a year. Iowa has abundant solar energy. Cost of solar panels is dropping rapidly. 10% of the 6 million acres of non-farming in Iowa use solar energy will produce $4 billion in energy per year. Iowa's coal plants consume roughly 700 million in coal each year. Opposite expenditures are ideal in it. And the intermittent nature of wind and solar is rapidly being addressed by utility scale storage as battery technology improves and battery prices low. Landowners can participate in the clean energy demand. If paid just 1 cent per kilowatt hour, a landowner producing a single 3-megawatt wind turbine would have an annual income of $86,000. A landowner with 10 acres of solar panels would have an annual income of $55,000. And yes, we need transmission lines to move the energy, but there's a big difference between transmission lines placed in playground every quarter-mile, following property lines, roads, and others right-of-way. We run the pipeline diagonally across the state, stretching through the delicate tile and sustained productivity of the land. United Iowa, the Bakken pipeline, and invest Iowa's land in clean, stable energy that creates uniform landowners, long-lasting local jobs that preserves Iowa's crisis ability to lead the world.
Represented by my neighbors. We cover 32 counties in Iowa, including 6 counties of Dakota as well. I've spent my career as a laborer installing underground utilities. I cable TV lines, phone lines, the majority of my parents have the same sort of sewer line, water mains, and service lines. Including all of which are public utilities that service the public need. As union laborers, we make a career that really begins. I've been able to provide a nice home, insurance for my wife and kids. I was at the pension on working towards, so if we're trying to dig me, I have a career in construction industry. We agree with all your projects from oil and gas, wind, hydro, and solar. The laborers from Iowa and the Midwest region would like to build that pipeline if approved to transport product the safest way possible and have it built for most qualified workers in the industry.
Good morning, my name is Patricia Bowen, 12 Village Road, Iowa City, Iowa. Our state constitution in Article 1, Bill of Rights, first paragraph, entitled Rights of Persons, says that we have certain inalienable rights. Among those are enjoying and defending life and liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuing and obtaining safety and happiness. The second paragraph of the same article says, our state constitution says, all political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit of the people, and they have the right at all times to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require it. I am here today speaking to this crowd of concerned citizens from the state of Iowa, and it appears from some visitors from outside the state of Iowa, and this regulatory board, which is really nothing but a state-sanctioned creature of corporations, to say this: local citizens have an inherent right to self-government, guaranteed by both the U.S. and state constitution. And as a result, we hold the right to pass laws to protect our health, safety, and welfare. We, the people of Iowa, deserve better than an unelected and unaccountable Iowa Utility Board having the authority to decide whether we get this dangerous pipeline and whether private landowners have their property rights taken away and handed to a corporation. The whole regulatory hearing process is illegitimate as it violates our right to govern ourselves in our community and to decide for ourselves whether this pipeline is a good fit for our state. I encourage you to find out more about community rights movement, which could help you pass a locally, you, the people, pass a locally enforceable law in your county that bans the pipeline. I, along with other women wearing these green shirts, will be in the back of the hall later to answer any questions about a more powerful strategy for saying no to this ridiculous proposal.
I'm a lifelong Iowan, organized with field representative in local 53. Not only do I have new members for local, but also representatives of the workplace for the high and important state work environment. This project will provide our members with the ability to access because will also help boost economic preservation, memories, and future strength. I'm here today at this board to put access back. Thank you.
point that he makes of this is that the science is easy now. You know exactly where the science is at. What's difficult is how he's going to manage the issue of this range. And he has now filed a kind of a court brief, which he believes that our politicians are not guaranteeing the right in the Constitution that we all give. That right is to promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and posterity. And if we don't do this to keep the rest of this fossil fuel in the ground, then we are not guaranteeing that right to our grandchildren. So I would like to have you think about it as you make this decision, what your grandchildren are going to say 20 or 30 years from now, based on the decision that you make, based on the conversations here today, as it affects their lives. And I think if you think about that, it will lead to the right decision. I wish you that.
I'm going to remind everyone to please try and hold the microphone towards you, or else we can have staff assist to make sure that it's up so that the public can hear.
My name is Dan Permack, 1424 Willow Court, Covington, Iowa. Projects like Dakota Access have the capacity to provide huge boost for our families and for our hometowns. We believe this project is right for Iowa, right for our hometowns, and right for our families. We have the training to get the job done right with local labor and well-trained ones. I encourage the board to support the project and please pass.
My name is Lynn Merton. My address is 17185 George Washington Carver Avenue, Dover, Iowa. I represent the League of Women Voters of Iowa on the Bakken Pipeline Assistance Coalition, and also the landowner and I live on the farm where I grew up in Story County. Thank you for holding this hearing. We appreciate it. The proponents have argued that shipping Bakken crude oil by dairy pipeline would benefit Iowa. First, because the pipeline would be much safer than rail transport, and second, because the pipeline would help free up access to grain, available shipping of grain. There's no doubt that the current train transport of Bakken crude oil, which has a higher level of gas, is really not extraction and dangerous. There are two reasons for this. One is that there is no requirement to stabilize the condition of oil before moving by rail, so the oil travels in a highly unstable state. Second, the rail cars that are used to transport much of the Bakken oil, the DOT 111 cars, were built to carry commodities such as soybeans or corn, not highly flammable cargo. The U.S. Department of Transportation is developing regulations to require replacing the DOT 111 cars with safer cars. In the meantime, to their credit, the NFF Railway and Canadian Railway are applying surcharges for transporting crude oil in older puncture-prone cars as an incentive for companies to invest in safer cars. It is a matter of regulation, which is a government responsibility. Creating unsafe methods for another is not solve the problem. The second argument is that the pipeline will free up rail for grain transport. The Vice President of Energy Transfer Department recently testified in the South Dakota Public Utilities Commission that even with the construction of the pipeline, the number of trains carrying Bakken crude would probably be the same, if not more. A couple reasons for that. Transporting crude oil by rail is cheap and it's more flexible. There's a more rail installations, there are pipeline installations, and the rail lines are already there. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Misty Lane, and I live at 2800 Southeast 8th Street in Iowa. I am a lifelong Iowan and a proud union member of Local 253. I hope that because of my union loyalty, that you don't reject me and my reasons for supporting the Dakota Access pipeline. I see every day the support and job training that the union provides, so I know if this pipeline is approved, it will be safely built and maintained. As an American citizen, I realize the importance of U.S. energy independence, jobs in America, and equal rights for both women as well as men, we can fairly in a safe working environment. I support clean energy and union labor, and I support our energy dollars staying in this country. So I am in favor of the Dakota Access pipeline. Thank you.
I'm speaking on behalf of Sandra. My name is Anna Dansar. I'm actually a business owner on the list. And it's 219 South 5th Street, nearby Ames, Iowa. As a native Iowan, I oppose the Bakken pipeline. The Bakken pipeline threatens the quality of our soil and the well-being of our state. In Iowa, our culture and our economy are tied to our soil. As an agricultural state, we should propose crude oil pipeline to our land. When this pipeline leaks, Iowans will be responsible for the cleanup, and our productive land could be damaged beyond repair. We don't have the laws we need to hold the company fully responsible for any damages our state experiences while they continue to reap an economic profit. Today, it's important to note that a large number of those speaking in favor of the pipeline are from out of state and will not be here to deal with the consequences of this pipeline. As Iowans, it is on us to make the best decision for our future. We know that Dakota Access isn't interested in investing in Iowa. They contracted with a city company and they evaded environmental questions during public meetings. This is on us to make the best decision for Iowa's future. Let's do that.
My name is Kevin Miller, 4880 Couple Avenue, Des Moines. I'm a special pipeline representative with the International Union of Operating Engineers. We represent over 400,000 members around the United States, thousands of which reside right here in Iowa. I'm also a hunter, fisherman, contributor to the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership. With a common sense approach, I think everybody in here would agree that, and including the folks that work for Access, nobody in their right mind would want anything to happen where there was a major spill or an accident. So that needs to be taken into consideration. Also, how our legislators and lawmakers, whether they be local, state, or federal, look or uphold laws or whether they pretend they don't exist, everything's in place to make sure that oil, gas, and transportation companies hold and maintain things. So I would hope that when people look at the polls, they pay attention to that kind of thing. I agree that climate change is an important issue. However, people need to realize that it's a global thing and that it cannot be fixed just here in the United States and Canada or even England. America's always got room for improvement, but we do awfully darn good compared to places like China, India, that yield no concern. Why don't some of the people that have huge issues with climate change or their global warming theories need to go and focus on those countries and spend time on that? Okay, where the U.S. we've got a good clutch on it, and we'll always, everybody that wants to be responsible is going to be able to do such. I think it's awesome that Americans get the opportunity to speak their minds freely about these projects. And when they come to this, just like Dakota Access or any other
My name is Huey Tweedy, 3192 260 Ave, 60th Avenue, Montrose. I live on a 7th-generation family farm which I'm the steward of. The three greatest assets this state has are its water, its soil, and its beloved children. This pipeline puts all of them at risk. And there is another danger this pipeline presents, and that is that the citizens of this state and our elected leaders forget what it means to be an Iowan. Special interests, temporary jobs, and the profits of private corporations should never be more important than the rights of property owners. And we should never allow our state flag, with its powerful motto, "Our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain," be used for toilet paper by billionaires sending ivory towers in Houston and Dallas. We, the stewards of the land, should decide what is best for what we love, nurture, and what is sacred to us. And what we will hand down to the next generation will be undesecrated. Democracy has been called two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for lunch. It seems our sacred family farm and forest are on the IUB menu. I hope this is not true. People have said that you are merely puppets on the end of the string for the power brokers of this state. The fix is already in. I do not believe that. I believe you have the wisdom and will find the courage to put your decision on the right side of history and reject this pipeline and the use of eminent domain, aka superior ownership for its construction. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to comment today. Jim Edmondson, I support the Dakota Access project and encourage the utility board to grant permits for construction. I am a 24-year member of the Operating Engineers Local 234 and currently serve as a camping instructor. My career also includes working on pipeline projects such as the Dakota Access, and I believe pipelines are one of the safest methods to transport oil. There are tens of thousands of miles of pipeline in Iowa today. They operate safely and efficiently. Skilled craftsmen ensure pipelines are installed and operate in a manner that exceeds or meets all safety and environmental standards. We've already heard from other parties about the benefit of the Dakota Access project with Iowans to the creation of jobs and economic activity. These jobs are not temporary. I, for one, can attest that I've built a career on projects like this. I've raised and supported my family on projects like this. This project is important to Iowa families like mine to continue their career pursuit in building trades. Property taxes generated by this project can be used to build, maintain, and repair Iowa community resources such as schools, libraries, hospitals, and roads. These are all services I and other Iowa families use. I encourage the board to support Dakota Access. This project is important for the growth of our state and for the energy security of our country.
My name is Mary Natasha. I live at 60 Sheriff Court, North Carolina, Iowa. I am here as a citizen of the state of Iowa to claim my sovereign rights as stated in the Iowa Constitution, Article 1, Bill of Rights, Section 2, which states, all political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit of the people, and they have the right at all times to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require it. There is a rising movement called community rights. Currently over 200 communities in 9 states, in which local ordinances are passed to ensure that the rights of we the people prevail rather than the profit-motivated interests of corporations. These ordinances, passed by we the people, have protected towns from corporate activities such as fracking, capos, and the use of toxic sewer sludge as fertilizer. Such ordinances can be used to stop this pipeline. We, the people of Iowa, deserve better. This whole regulatory hearing process is illegitimate. These people are not elected by us. It violates our right to govern ourselves and our communities and to decide for ourselves whether the pipeline is a good fit for our state. I encourage you to find out more about the community rights movement, which will help you pass the locally enforceable law in your community, in your county that would ban this pipeline. Look for the women wearing these green shirts. We can answer your questions. A more powerful strategy for saying no to this disaster proposal. We are in a David and Goliath struggle, and we all know how that came up. We won't lose until we quit, and we're not quitting.
The 1667 Shepherd Point, Fort Lauderdale, Missouri. I'm a 30 years old once, and I'm here today in support of the pipeline. I believe that it does have individual, local, state, and national interests that are positive. The project will provide billions of dollars worth of investment here locally in the state of Iowa. It will also provide millions of dollars to local communities and counties in the way of tax revenues from its installation. But also, I think there are individual and national interests that coincide, and that's why I'm going to stand with my brothers and sisters who are Iowans and who will be working on this project, putting local folks together. The gentleman who we're talking about personal financial gain. Yes, I'm standing with a lot of thousands of folks in Iowa that will have a personal financial gain. That financial gain will be providing food, paying a mortgage, paying monthly utility bills, putting their kids through college. That's the personal financial gain that this project will bring to thousands of folks in Iowa. I also grew up a family farm that's operated for over 50 years. That family farm is crossed by transmission lines as well as pipelines. And I can tell you for over 50 years, not a day nor a dollar has been lost because of pipeline disruption. Not one day, not $1. Pipelines are the safest way to transport liquid crude and natural gas across the country. Iowa already has over 30,000 miles of pipelines crisscrossing the state safely. And appreciate your time and support this project. Thank you.
Numbers 21 through 30 head to the staging area to my right.
I'm speaking for Jim Lowell, who's unable to attend. My name is Larry Pearson. I live at 3908 Stonebrook Circle in South. We cannot continue to burn fossil fuels as we have in the past. Carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere as a result of the continuous burning of the fossil fuels is driving climate change. We're only beginning to experience the detrimental impacts of climate change, and it will get much worse. The Bakken pipeline, if constructed, will carry oil for at least 30, maybe 50, perhaps even 80 years. Infrastructure creates demand. Merely having this pipeline will available to move oil will act as a catalyst to do more oil exploration, to drill in even more environmentally sensitive areas, and to get the last drop out of the ground. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline aptly illustrates this point. This pipeline has been in service for 38 years. It is now operating at about a quarter of its capacity because the crude oil field is in decline. As a result, there is now increasing pressure to drill more oil wells in some of the most environmentally fragile areas of the planet. We don't have 80 years, we don't have 50 years, we may not even have 30 years. At the point it becomes obvious to everyone that we must stop leaving we must leave some of these fossil fuels in the ground, it may be too late. Stopping this pipeline is one small but necessary step. I urge you to reject this pipeline application and help preserve the world for our grandchildren. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Payne. I live at 9667 Crossbow Drive, Bloomington, Illinois. I am the Vice President and Midwest Regional Manager for the Labor International Union in North America. And part of the jurisdiction I have is in the state of Iowa. The state of Iowa currently has 7 local unions serving the jurisdiction of the Laborers International Union. These local unions are Laborers Local 43, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Laborers Local 177, Des Moines, Iowa, 353, Des Moines, Iowa, Laborers Local 309, Rock Island, Illinois, with jurisdiction in Iowa, Laborers Local 538, Galesburg, Illinois, with jurisdiction in Iowa, Laborers Local 620, South Dakota, with jurisdiction in Iowa, and Laborers Local 1140, out of Nebraska, with jurisdiction in Iowa, as well as our district council representing Great Plains District Council, which represents Illinois, Iowa, South Dakota, and Nebraska. I can assure you that the men and women from Iowa and all our border states, as well as the men and women who have great experience in the pipeline industry, are here today to show their support for the Dakota Access pipeline. The laborers, our same board contractors, and owners have invested in our training programs to ensure that we have the best trained, skilled workforce. The training also provides for the safety of the worker and the safety of the work site where the work is being performed. The men and women of our laborers have chosen the building of our infrastructure and resources as a career that provides for a better way of life for themselves and their families. The Dakota Access pipeline will provide good wages. It will provide health insurance for our members and their families. It will provide for retirement. It will also provide future training so that we keep our upgrade training for the future work in Iowa as well as the United States of America. We are very proud that we are working to assist and recruit our returning veterans so that they too have the opportunity to provide a great life to their families once they return from serving our country. The veterans that are looking for employment, this pipeline will have a major issue. Thank you for your time.
Hello. Morning. Jerry Huser, Libby Jacobs, Nick Wagner. Thank you. So today I stand before you as someone who's invested. Nathan Malewski. I live in Des Moines, 650 16th Street. Today I stand before you as someone who's invested a lot of my time over the past year fighting back against the lies and misinformation spewed by Dakota Access, alongside landowners and pipeline fighters across the state. And also, very importantly, as someone who will inherit the consequences of your decision making. I am 22 years old and just getting started in life. Yet I'm fearful of what life will look like for me on a planet with an increasingly unstable climate, with looming water shortages, and droughts which threaten vital food-producing regions in our country. This is because the planet that I will grow old on already bears the scars of a fundamentally broken economic system. This system has starved the earth with pipelines across the Great Plains, burdened our soil with life-extinguishing crude oil, lined our riverbeds with carcinogens, and choked out life with the fumes of refineries in cities like Detroit, Toledo, and Houston. All of this destruction for the profits of wealthy men in business suits, far removed from the consequences of their reckless, self-serving actions. So, Nick, Libby, and Jerry, I'm demanding one very simple thing today. Think about my generation when you issue your ruling later this year and deny the hazardous liquid pipeline for the Dakota Access pipeline. Think about us because this really isn't your decision to make. Who are you to put the futures of young folks across the country into jeopardy so you can what? Pad your resumes by successfully protecting corporate interests at the Utilities Board? Please, the Governor, advance your political careers? It's my understanding that some of you on the board have already failed at that anyway. My generation still has hope that there's another way of doing things, that we can power our economy and build resilient communities all while creating good-paying jobs that build wealth for our people instead of exploiting our precious resources. This means we need to stop building pipelines and keep fossil fuels in the ground. So, Libby, Nick, and Jerry, listen to those who will inherit your decision-making, deny the permit for this proposal, step aside, and let us lead. Thank you.
Good morning. Charlie Shump, 2512 Cameron Lane, Peoria, Illinois. I'm here this morning to speak in support of the pipeline and ask the Iowa Utility Board to approve this pipeline. I'm currently the business manager for the Great Plains Labor District Council, and I represent over 2,500 laborers in the state of Iowa. This project will put approximately 4,000 Iowans to work for good living wage jobs, and probably the largest construction project in the history of the state of Iowa. The financial impact for the state of Iowa is going to be huge. There's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars worth of wages made, and approximately about $50 million worth of income tax to the state of Iowa from this project. And additionally, according to a study from the United States Department of Transportation, that the pipeline is the most safest, efficient way to move oil in this country. So I thank you, and I hope you will support this project.
Yeah!
Good morning. My name is Tom Rosen, 220 Street, adjacent to City. Thanks for the opportunity to voice my objections to this project this morning. I'm a member of IOCCI and the Iowa Field. We've voiced our concerns to you many times throughout this review process. This morning, I strongly urge you to seriously consider the comments in the upcoming testimonies of Dr. James Hansen, former top climate scientist at NASA, Dr. Gene Chagey, climate scientist director at Iowa State University, Dr. Thomas Fenton, emeritus professor of agronomy at Iowa State, Douglas Hard, retired state coordinator of Iowa DNR Wildlife Diversity Program, Dr. John Dorset, Iowa State archaeologist, David Swenson, the associate scientist at Iowa State's Department of Economics, the 15 state legislators who reviewed calling for an independent environmental impact study of this project, and courageous landowners who have stood up to the threats and intimidation and lies of Dakota Access. Their knowledge and experience, passion, and perspective on the critical issues connected to this project offer an expertise and an experience, passion, and perspective on the critical issues related to this that shouldn't be dismissed and should not be disregarded. Their remarks regarding climate change, the effects of this project, the environmental impacts of this project, the water quality threats of this project, and the unprecedented imminent domain abuse of this project will reveal that this pipeline is really a very, very bad deal. It offers little to no benefits to Iowans, poses enormous risks. So it will be a disaster for our land, our water, our wildlife, and our life. After hearing all the comments today, the testimony, and after you continue, I urge you to reject it.
Hello, my name is Eric Wright, 30 Preston Lane in Bologna, Arkansas, and I'm a special pipeline representative for the operating engineers. I've spent half my career working in the pipeline industry. For those of you who don't know, we're the heavy equipment operators and we support the Dakota Access project. I've heard some opinions that there will be a negative impact on the wildlife through the aftermath of the proposed construction of the Dakota Access and outback deliveries. My family has a relatively large amount of land that has pipelines crossing their property, and I've hunted on these pipelines for years. As far as I can tell, it has brought in more wildlife to the property. I've seen more whitetail, more turkey, more wild hogs than ever before. These pipelines cross 2 small streams on the property that feed into a pond, and I regularly take my family to fish there. In all the years we've been fishing, I've never seen any discoloration or oil residue floating on the water. We all know at this point that the pipelines are a safer method of getting Bakken crude from point A to point B. There have been trains derailing that is carrying this Bakken oil. These trains are being filled up with this oil when it can be moved through the pipeline safer. Farmers need this space on these trains to ship their grains and produce. I'm hearing that environmentalists are fighting to stop the pipeline project due to worries about pipeline spills. I'm here to tell you that each well on this pipeline will be inspected visually and x-rayed to make sure it will hold up the pressure of the product in the pipeline. There will be state-of-the-art valves installed along the pipeline routes to shut down the flow of product in case of an emergency. In short, the operating engineers, along with this $400,000 membership, request that the Iowa Utility Board approve the Dakota Access. Dan Hannon. My address is 3113 Northeast Briarwood Drive in Ankeny, Iowa. Our farm is located in Mingo, Iowa, just west of there. There are two important words that defines why we're really truly here today, and that is eminent domain. As a landowner, that the proposed pipeline will cut through the middle of our land for 0.8 of a mile, we feel that the use of eminent domain to access our property is morally wrong. The intent of the use of eminent domain, as I'm aware of, is for certain government projects that are done for the good of the public that override private property ownership, such as the Saberville and Red Rock Dam projects done in the 70s to help with the Iowa's flood issues during heavy rains, which definitely benefits the general public. The Bakken oil pipeline offers nothing for Iowa, no public gain, just the misuse of our valuable and productive farmland for their gain for more profits for big oil. Some of us have spoken during the 2015 legislature regarding the legislation that would affect projects such as this pipeline. There's a tabled bill, Senate File 506, we intend to bring up during the 2016 legislative session. The bill ensures that there are better protections for landowners in place regarding projects such as this. I find it prudent to wait until after that discussion and the voting on this important piece of legislation before proceeding with the discussion of the pipeline. Let the people speak through their legislature, the true voice of the people. We all know that eminent domain laws were written many years ago before there existed powerful oil interests that can manipulate the present system with their money. I feel that the IUB is rushing to judgment on the Bakken oil pipeline by approving it now. Remember this, the most powerful statement of all. No private property owner should have their land taken through eminent domain and transferred to another for a profit company. The most unconscionable thing of all is to allow this to happen. If this is allowed, it will set a precedent within the state of Iowa. Other companies.
My name is Richard Schmidt. I am a member of the labor union. I live in Polk County and primarily work in Lee County, Iowa. I'm not working in Lee County, I'm basically somewhere in between. So I'd like to thank utilities for working with this, and I'd like to thank everybody else for participating in the process. I'm going to try to keep this short. There's nothing I can tell the board or anyone in this audience that you probably haven't already heard, but if you're not going to hear it later today. I've got a dozen reasons to support this project. This morning, we left Burlington, Iowa at 5 o'clock in the morning. I picked up some of my brothers and sisters from local 538. On the way here, we stopped in Mount Pleasant, picked up some more members, and on Fairfield, and then on to Ottumwa. I am proud to represent the people that live in the counties along this pipeline. Unfortunately, the people I picked up this morning aren't going to have the opportunity to speak, so I'm going to take this time to speak for them. I know being a construction worker, and I know that they know what it's like when we complete a job, something to be proud of. The only downfall of that is when we go home, we have to tell our wives, and we have to tell our kids that the project is over with, and when the wife asks, when are you going to the next one, say, we don't know. When they say, when are you going to find out? I'm not sure about that either. Jobs like these are temporary, yes. Construction careers are permanent. The one thing I want to do is to make sure that those gentlemen standing back there that I brought up here today don't have to go home and tell their wives or their kids or their husbands when the next job is going to come. This pipeline is important. It's a benefit. The oil is going to be produced and transported one way or the other. And as long as those guys get to build it, I feel confident that it could not be built to a better standard or higher efficiency than what the people of Labor's Union can do. Therefore, I support the project. I hope the Iowa Utilities Board does too. Yeah!
also need to face the people in the audience. I am pro-labor and pro-union. All Iowans who want to work deserve a job that pays a living wage. And the Pipeline Corporation says it will create 12 to 15 permanent jobs. That's a good thing. On the other hand, is the potential devastation that occurs when a pipeline leaks. The Bakken pipeline is a 30-inch diameter underground pipe that will carry volatile crude oil across 343 miles of Iowa land. It is human nature to consider how a policy will affect us individually. But when the issue under consideration is one that may affect everyone in the state, it is imperative that we zoom out and make a decision based on the well-being of our fellow citizens and our children's children. The 100 Grammys are working on a process called community rights, where residents in a town or county define what constitutes their quality of life and then passes ordinances to safeguard what they define. Typically, ordinances have been used to protect families from pollution or ensure that water is not bottled and shipped away. But the process can also be used to require a living wage for all workers. If you are interested in learning more about the community rights process, please talk with one of the Grammys. And remember, whatever the decision the Iowa Utility Board makes about the Bakken pipeline, we can protect our locality through the community rights process. We can still assert our democratic right to institute a living wage. Thank you.
My name is Terry Levine, we're at 5003 Northside Avenue in Sioux City, Iowa. I'm a lifelong Iowan and a proud father of teachers. I'm concerned about their future just like everybody else here. I'm also concerned about Senator Elect, a practical energy. Across we are the third largest producer of crude oil. We're the number one user. This will help close that gap. This I will close it now. Dakota Access has exceeded current federal standards and we will employ most skilled workers. We have the best of service and the best of electronics. We will save this form of transport energy. We'll help employees control 4,000 in Iowa alone. Yes, they are temporary jobs, but there are people who work hard for it, and their special jobs are temporary jobs. So they're one thing. We have also generated around 50 million property taxes. That property tax is used for schools, roads, and yes, even other alternative fuel sources if you want to do that. We have very little impact on the world. We can forward the great outdoor drive and
Marcia Schaefer, 1252 Pleasant Valley Street, Iowa City. When Senator Harkin wrote about climate change, he explained that the Democrats believe we are headed for a cliff. Republicans believe the earth warms and cools in a natural cycle. As a Democrat, I can understand the cycle, but what if the earth warms to the point of becoming uninhabitable before it cools again? The international scientific community has agreed that 2 degrees of warming is a limit to sustain life as we know it. So far, it has risen 0.85 degrees Celsius and is bound to heat more because of what we've already done. Climate change is measurable now, and it's not a matter of believing in it or not. The oceans are warming 3.2 degrees yearly, and scientists believe it is unstoppable. The coral reefs, which provide food and livelihood for 500 million people, are in trouble. Species are going extinct in record numbers. Global warming is fueled by carbon being dug up from the ground. We need to keep the carbon in the ground. Extracting crude oil for the profit of a corporation at the expense of a safe environment for us all is a bad idea. We, the people of Iowa, deserve better than an unelected and unaccountable Iowa Utility Board having the authority to decide whether we get this dangerous pipeline and whether private landowners will have their property rights taken away from them and handed to a corporation. This hearing is illegitimate as it violates our right to govern ourselves and our communities whether the pipeline is a good fit for our state. I encourage you to find out more about the community rights movement, which could help you pass a locally enforceable law in your county that bans the pipeline. Look for women wearing these green shirts.
My name is Edwin Steen. I'm from Ogden, Iowa, 1601 150th Street. I'm a farmer and I'm also chairman of the main coalition that supports this infrastructure project. I'm here to discuss what this project will mean not just for the state of Iowa, but for our nation's energy infrastructure. Pipelines are the safest method available for transporting energy products. This project represents a chance to help energy get where it needs to go with less risk for our land and water, and at a cost keeps it affordable. Iowa has the opportunity to help put both the state and the entire nation on the path forward a better energy future by approving this project. Agriculture is highly dependent upon petroleum products. As a farmer and landowner myself, I believe it is simple. The more oil we use domestically, we will reduce our nation's dependence on foreign sources of oil. Our coalition supports economic opportunities for the Midwest, for energy security, and for a business landscape that encourages growth and development across all sectors. This pipeline will be a safer and more environmentally friendly way of transporting oil that is already being produced and is waiting for transportation. Iowa leads the country in alternative energy. However, we cannot simply turn off the use of oil and other products overnight. This project will help our country become more energy sustainable across all sectors. This project is more than just a way to transport oil. It represents an investment in jobs, local communities, and a chance for our nation to continue to work towards energy independence. I urge you to approve this project.
The Bakken pipeline will be of no benefit to Iowa. Like other landowners here today, we have owned our farm for over a century. My father and grandfather took pride in this land and took care of it with their blood, sweat, and tears. And my other goal is also to make sure that I take care of this land for my daughters and our grandchildren. It's easy to be swayed by the benefits of jobs, wages, taxes, etc. for this proposed project. It's harder to do the right thing by protecting our fertile resources, our soil, and our water supply. You were appointed to this board, so please protect us as citizens of Iowa. You will also be protecting your children and your grandchildren for their future in this great state. Thank you.
I'm here supporting the pipeline and supporting 4,000 women, brothers, and sisters that live and work in Iowa
pipeline will add 2,000 to 4,000 construction career opportunities. Pipeline will translate into millions of state local revenues and their construction value in the essence 29 million annually in property income tax. Research shows that early pipelines are the safest and most economic efficient means of transport work. This is according to the U.S. Department of Transportation. I myself have worked many temporary jobs. I'm a 38-year member of the Legislative Movement in America. I don't know what I do with that. And I know many union brothers and sisters, they may be temporary workers, temporary jobs. That's the way I live life is. They depend on these jobs. They depend on the life of their family. And I ask you for support from 4,000 union brothers and sisters in my life.
Good morning. I am Esther Tweedy of 2453 221st Avenue, Donaldson, Iowa. I'm the wife of David Banger, who originally reserved this slot, but he was unable to come today. I'm also the sister of the famous Huey Tweedy, who spoke earlier. I am a landowner in rural Lee County, and though the farm my husband and I own is not in the path of the pipeline, the farm I grew up on is. My mom and dad settled onto our family farm almost 70 years ago. My brothers, sisters, and I were raised by parents with little money, but riches that money can't buy, including the beautiful timber that was planted by my father and my brother. Our mom died in our childhood home last fall, just 10 days shy of her 96th birthday, about the same time our family's battle against the use of eminent domain began. There are many reasons to oppose the Dakota Access LLC proposed crude oil pipeline, but I am focusing on just one, the consideration of the use of eminent domain for easement procurement. According to your website, the power of eminent domain, I'm quoting, is only included to the extent the board finds is necessary for public use, unquote. It is beyond me how allowing eminent domain for the monetary gain of an out-of-state for-profit corporation is necessary for the people of the state of Iowa. I can see no justification that meets the criteria of its use. It is my fervent hope that you will heed the words of the many, many Iowans who object to the approval of both the pipeline and the use of eminent domain. How the board representing Iowans can possibly consider that this proposed pipeline is of more value to its citizens than the rights of landowners is unbelievable.
I'm here to support my because I'm here to support the pipeline for my brothers and sisters for this job. This helps the economy everywhere. Money for all over the state, for our members. It's all about families. I mean, and our families thought this pipeline was not good for the state of Iowa. They were not good up there asking for this job. But I'm here to support them because they're here for their jobs and their families and their futures, and that's all I have to say.
My name is Sherry Hawk, and I live at 401 Northeast Customer Place in Ankeny. It doesn't feel right that we're here begging this politically appointed board to judiciously consider the future consequences this proposed pipeline visits upon our children and our grandchildren. Please at least consider a full environmental impact study to assess the degree of danger and potential disaster you are unleashing on your fellow Iowans. Please review all the spills that have already created havoc and misery along similar pipelines, perhaps beginning with the state of emergency declared in Montana recently due to a huge pipeline spill into the Yellowstone River. Please consider the habitat and productive farmland you will be defiling or destroying permanently with your approval. Please consider how vulnerable our precious Jordan aquifer is to the hundreds of thousands of Iowans who rely on it for drinking water. One spill from the pipeline into that or any of our waterways and even our drainage tiles could destroy ecosystems in our state beyond any hope of recovery. And again, please, I beg of you, do the right thing to protect Iowa.
Stop around 1832 Mill Drive, Jackson, Missouri. Switching on here to 14 Dakota Access pipeline. In my opinion, it's minimal positive and negatives. Two of those being the pipeline's open. It's 3.7 billion to be invested in Iowa. And that was 13 governments nationwide, statewide. This is something I feel like the state needs. It's just something we need. The pipeline translates into millions in state and local revenue during the construction phase, and that's at 29 million in annual profit and income taxes. Another reason I'm in favor, I'm hoping that the board approves this project. Simply because it's going to come to good jobs for our people, something we all need. This state needs it, and the state needs it, the entire trade. The construction of this project will not only put thousands of Iowans to work, but will advance the goal of national energy independence. Last but not least, the Dakota Access pipeline is approved. The Union Cracks will meet and exceed all state and federal safety requirements.
Hello, my name is Sherry Kevin Michaels. I live at 802 West Henry, Marquette. I grew up on a farm in Boone County, and here's my dad, brother, and sister to express our objections to the Bakken pipeline. My parents have gotten notice that the pipeline will be coming to 3 of their properties, so we are all personally vested in this issue. We do not believe that a private company has the right to put a throw pipeline to my parents' property, and especially do not want the land given away to the process of eminent domain. My dad is especially concerned about his farming practices. It is my dad's understanding that he would not be allowed to do major dirt moving in the pipeline area. That means no more terracing and leveling the fields and new areas. Piling projects will remain more difficult and surface terrain will be non-existent. He understands that it will be illegal to move a large backhoe or bulldozer across the pipeline and is wondering if a heavy combine will be allowed to operate in that area also. He believes he will also need permission from the pipeline company in order to put a fence up in that area. All these issues are legitimate concerns that have not been addressed. It is not right for the private company to tell others what to do on their own concerns. I am also here to speak about global warming and saving the environment. Let's break our addiction to fossil fuels and support renewable energy. We do not need to be dependent on foreign and domestic oil when we have the technology to develop new ways to create energy right here. It's only a matter of time before the pipeline will leak, creating oil spills, including Iowa's land, waterways, and drinking water. Let's stand strong and do what President Obama just did with the Keystone Pipeline. Let's shut the Bakken pipeline down. I urge the Iowa Utilities Board to listen to Iowans and not out of state leaders who don't know to this project. Thank you.
Numbering 31 through 40 approach the staging area on my right or your left.
31 through 40.
Go Heidi! My name is James Monco, I'm from Charlottesville, Iowa. I'm a member of the Operating Engineers Local 234. I'm here today to voice my support for the Dakota Access pipeline. Working on projects such as the Dakota Access goes beyond my work and training. These major projects are a family thing, a generational investment. I'm here today with my grandfather who built a career in construction trades, and I'm now following his footsteps. I've been fortunate to build a career as an operating engineer, first as an apprentice, now as an instructor. Projects such as the Dakota Access give opportunity to Iowa families like mine to have good paying jobs, raise children, all while helping secure our nation's energy independence. For persons like my grandfather, low and stable energy prices are important. There are 27 million households aged 65 or more, representing nearly 1/4 of the nation's 116 million households. Low and fixed income seniors are among the most vulnerable to energy price increases. The Dakota Access project provides the Bakken region with stable, predictable, and reliable energy supply to help keep energy prices stable. I want to encourage the Iowa Utility Board to grant construction permits for the Dakota Access pipeline. That provides good paying jobs for Iowans to raise their families and helps ensure a safe, reliable source of domestic energy for our country, especially our seniors. Thank you.
I'm speaking in the spot for Kelly May Haru. My name is Travis Cox. I'm from 505 East Burlington, Dakota, Iowa. In full disclosure, my father-in-law was a union leader at the Cape plant in Burlington, Iowa. And since my daughter was 2, she's been singing, "You can't scare me, I'm sick of the union, I'm sick of the union, till the day I die," right? So I think that there's a false dichotomy happening here created by Dakota Access. I think we're pitting laborers versus Mike.
Stop it.
Turn it up. Do it before.
Okay.
10 seconds back on the clock.
Mr. Cox, now that since we're interrupted, we are going to try and restart, each time one cast can just spell his last name and name. For those parties that are coming up to speak and you're moving into someone else's spot, if you could please spell your last name for the court reporter, we would appreciate that so that we can have your name for the record, which is your provided. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Travis Cox, COX, 505 East Burlington. Full disclosure, my father-in-law is a union leader in the Cape plant in Burlington, and my daughter has been singing this song since she was 2 years old. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sick of the union, I'm sick of the union, till the day I die. I think that Dakota Access has created a false dichotomy of laborers versus environmentalists instead of laborers and environmentalists for a sustainable future. And I would encourage leaders of both of the parties interested here to look at the Houston principles where that came together. I was just at a conference with 2,300 college students. I heard Aliri McClaren, a Native Alaskan and director of the Global Center for Indigenous Wisdom, speak. He just came from a global summit of 80 indigenous elders, and they asked us to stop using the term climate change and start using the term climate crisis, because the people who live closest to the land are seeing changes already. So this oil has to stay in the ground. So I'm here as a concerned citizen to encourage you to make the right decision and reject the pipeline. But I'm also here for the sake of my children to tell you that we will not allow the wrong decision to be made.
Good morning. My name is Tommy Foltz. That is Frank, O-L-T-Z as in zebra. 315 Morning Road, Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm not an Iowan, but I am an American, and the nation's, America's pipeline network is of national importance. I'm testifying on behalf of CEA's 450,000 individual members across the United States as Consumer Energy Alliance, especially the 6,300 here in Iowa who are part of that 450,000. CEA supports the Dakota Access pipeline for a number of reasons, but first, the pipelines are without question the most economic way to deliver energy to the American energy consumer. They're also the safest way to deliver energy and the most environmentally friendly. They make our nation more secure, more energy independent, and more economically vibrant. In addition to consumer benefits, it takes labor to construct pipelines, and that means jobs for Iowans, up to 4,000 we've heard. Those who oppose this pipeline make the case that these are not permanent jobs, and they're not. But the non-permanent jobs are not as important, and we disagree with that line of thinking. Construction jobs, by definition, are non-permanent. But so are lawyers' jobs, and realtors, and many other professions who go from project, essentially go from project to project, hoping to get work in the future. The pipeline construction jobs are dismissed by opposition groups as unimportant. All construction jobs and the workers who perform them are also being dismissed as unimportant. CEA appreciates the laborers who spend careers building things that make our nation stronger. The U.S. depends on its pipeline network for its economic vitality, energy security, and support of the modern society that every one of us in this room enjoys. So on behalf of consumers in Iowa, this region, and across America, we urge you to commit this project to move forward. The Dakota Access Pipeline should be part of that trip.
My name is Tom Krystoffiak, K-R-Y-S-T-O-F-I-A-K. I'm from 2331 Seven Hills Road in Fairfield, Iowa. I'm speaking on behalf of Peter Clemens. What we are faced with above all today is a moral choice, and it falls squarely on the shoulders of the IUB, and we recognize the enormity of that responsibility. The recent decision to stop the Keystone Pipeline was based on a sense of moral urgency, a sense that it is necessary to raise our voices in whatever ways we can and by whatever actions we can, including very much so by the decisions of government bodies and boards like this one, to start saying no to the extraction and delivery of fossil fuels. Yes, pipelines leak and can ravage our environment, but more important even than this is the need to stand up now and raise our voices to say that the continuing onslaught of the fossil fuel juggernaut will result in great harms for all of us, for Iowa, for our country, and for the entire world, because it threatens the global climate. We owe it to our children and grandchildren to open our eyes and see what's coming for them, and to find the moral strength now to say no. We must stop treating these decisions as business calculations, figuring who might be able to gain financially in the short run, and think instead about the long run for those who we care about. Denying this pipeline will, of course, not in itself stop the flow of fossil fuels or cure our dependence on them. But nonetheless, it's time to take a stand for the future on moral principles, as the President did blocking Keystone. We must be bold enough to stand on the right side of history, to take a moral action that will help drive the rising tide of public opinion, so that together we can avert the unimaginable disasters of climate change. please say no to this pipeline. My name is David Jones, 1900 Rose Road, Ranger, Iowa. I am a member of the Building and Trades, specifically Operating Engineers Local 234. I am in the apprenticeship program, and that program covers 92 of 99 counties in Iowa. Major infrastructure projects such as the Dakota Access pipeline provide on-the-job training for myself and others, as well as good-paying jobs with health and pension benefits. At a time of rising college debt and political debate over the minimum wage, projects like Dakota Access give opportunities to young Iowans like myself to develop a skill set and earn benefits. Few other career paths can match that. This is one of the reasons this project is so important to skilled workers such as myself. The Dakota Access project will grow the United States energy independence. It will help keep our economy growing, manufacturing flourishing, and will ensure reliable low energy prices. The average American consumes petroleum products at a rate of 3.5 gallons of oil per day. Thousands of everyday household items are made with petroleum. The Dakota Access project will make sure that the vital ingredients for these products originate and is controlled by the United States. I support the Dakota Access project. Many of my friends and countless other Iowans do as well. I encourage the Iowa Board to support the permitting of the pipeline. Thank you.
Hi, my name is April Birch. I'm a resident of Boone, Iowa. I live at 321 Green Street. I live in Boone with my husband, who is a combat injured Navy vet, and our 5 children. I'm here today because I am against the Bakken pipeline for a wide variety of reasons. I'm a 5th generation Iowan. My family settled here in the 1850s and farmed along the Des Moines River at Fraser for many generations. My dad was a carpenter. Carpenter's Local 106 out of Des Moines, by the way. He taught us that construction work is something that you have to plan ahead for. You have to plan ahead. And this project does not plan ahead into the future. This project asks that we trust that 2 years' worth of jobs are sufficient enough trade for potential disaster to our ecological systems. Which means a lot to me. My dad taught me to hunt and fish here in Iowa. And hunting and fishing was such a big part of my upbringing that as a 20-year-old, I went and joined AmeriCorps. I joined the Watershed Stewards Project and worked to protect and restore and rehabilitate salmon and trout habitat because natural resources are important. We work together with unions to protect land from the rapacious needs of corporations like Dakota Access. We work together to protect it so that jobs would exist into the future. We don't have the infrastructure necessary to deal with a spill. If a spill were to pour into our drainage systems, we don't have the water treatment facilities to make our drinking water safe again. Right now, the city of Boone is facing multi-million-dollar bills for this. We can't afford to take it any further. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bob Wright, 217 North Cherokee Drive, Oak City, Iowa. I'm very proud, now retired, 53-year member of the Labor International Committee. Now, whether you support or oppose this project, one thing we all have in common is that everyone who's here in the foreseeable future is totally dependent upon the product that this pipeline is producing. No, we're not. That being the case, there is factually and statistically no safer or more efficient way to transport this product. As the governor of Iowa stated, there are already thousands of miles of pipeline running beneath the precious soil of our state. By a magnitude of 10, this project will be constructed more safely and with far stricter standards than any pipelines that currently exist.
Regardless of your opposition to or this project, all of us in this room want the very same things in the environment which we all share. Clean air, clean water, safe food, and clean energy. Just last month, Time magazine reported that someday, in the not-too-distant future, fusion will provide unlimited energy for everyone, forever. Perhaps our grandchildren or great-grandchildren may live to experience that phenomenal potential. Until then, however, solar and wind and other emerging technologies will simply not meet our demands. Those demands will only be met by the invaluable and for now irreplaceable product which this pipeline will provide for the benefit of every single one of us here in this room. Thank you for your time and consideration.
My name is Mary Beth Bursgrove, 3117 Raven Street, Iowa City, Iowa, and I'm here in solidarity today with those Iowans who are stewards of the earth to oppose the proposed Bakken pipeline. Recently, I relearned some U.S. history in a course called Democracy School, taught by the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund. Originally, charters were only granted for a single purpose, that would do no harm and, at the same time, serve the public good. Corporations had a limited lifespan, could not contribute to organizations, or own any land beyond what was necessary to fulfill their purpose. Now all that's changed. The Supreme Court has granted corporations constitutional rights. In return, corporations have encouraged government to establish regulatory agencies that appear to protect the public, but in fact are simply a buffer between corporations and the outrage and fear of the people. Today, we, the people of Iowa, address the Iowa Utilities Board, a regulatory body, with regard to a petition by Dakota Access, LLC, for a hazardous liquid pipeline permit. Thousands of objections have been sent to the IUB, raising concerns for the health and well-being of we, the people of Iowa, should this petition be granted. Dakota Access and Energy Transfer Partners, the corporation they represent, are not a utility, and the sewer statements proposed will not serve any purpose or benefit the state of Iowa. The IUB has no authority vested in them by the people of Iowa, who will be the ones to pay the price for their decision on this petition. We, the people, must act to protect our rights granted by the Iowa Constitution to possess and protect our property, along with our right to pursue and obtain safety and happiness. We must never forget that all political power is power inherent in the people. Government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit of the people, and they have the right at all times to alter or reform the same, whenever the public good may require it. Even if the IUB grants this petition by Dakota Access, we, the people,
Good afternoon, my name is Ross Manuel. I'm an international rep for the Laborers Midwest region. I live in Normal, Illinois. I'm a 28-year member, proud member of Laborers International, Local 362 in Bloomington, Illinois. For the past 3 years, I've had the privilege, absolute privilege, of being able to work with the locals here in Iowa. All the locals that were mentioned earlier, there's actually in South Dakota, there's probably many counties in Iowa, there's projects that affect, and all the other Iowa locals. A great privilege working with these locals because I've learned a lot in these past 3 years how hard these locals work in training their members and providing good employees for specifically pipeline projects. I knew quite a bit more about other aspects of the construction industry before I became an IU rep. But I learned quite a bit more about pipeline technology just through the process of pre-job meetings with contractors and how hard the contractors work with the locals at providing the best people and the best technology, not only building these lines, but later inspecting, maintaining, and keeping these lines safe way before there's a problem. Detection systems are much more advanced than they were several years ago. And again, I've had the privilege of learning quite a bit more about this in the past 3 years. I've heard a lot of talk about temporary jobs. I would agree with that as well on the main project, but what we have to remember that there'll be many sustainable jobs in employment for laborers and union craftsmen later, many years down the road, as again, they maintain these projects, they inspect them. Way before, I mean, these inspections are mandated, way before there's any problems detected. So I'd like all the opposition to at least consider that the technology is greater than it's ever been. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Elaine Foley. I'm speaking for my husband, Mike Foley, because why should today be any different? I'm welcome to be with Tweedy sister. Our family's legacy land is in the historic half-wheat tract in Lee County, in extreme southeast Iowa. Dakota plans to slash an artery through our fields and grasslands, woods and creek to force crude oil under our Mississippi River a mile away. 7 generations of Tweedies have tread these dirt paths, including the Wabansie Trail that the Potawatomi Indians walked from Keokuk to Nebraska. 6 generations of Tweedy kids have splashed in the creek where Sac and Fox tribal kids played. Native people knew that no one can own the land, but we are charged with protecting and honoring it for future generations. Our dad was Hugh Tweedy, a disabled World War II vet. In the 50s, Dad was an environmentalist before that was a word. In the 60s, he fought Lee County's careless roadside spraying. In the 70s, Dad stopped them from dumping toxic paper mill waste on our road. Now a Texas billionaire assumes Iowa Rubes will take his money. He thinks the Iowa Utilities Board will rubber stamp his plan to bend the intent of eminent domain, not to provide a public service to Iowa, but to increase his corporate profits. It seems the rich get richer, the Iowa Rubes get screwed. That's right. But the Tweedies will not be bought. As Iowa's guardians, it is your job to protect us from Mr. Warren's arrogant greed. This insidious assault on Iowa's land and its people must be stopped. The obscene use of eminent domain powers to confiscate and prostitute Iowa's resources must be denied. Thank you.
As the treasurer of the Operating Engineers Local 234 and a lifelong resident of Iowa, I'm here to express strong support for the Dakota Access Pipeline. Local 234 has a membership of over 2,500 people who live and work throughout the state of Iowa. We cover all aspects of work performed with heavy equipment, and our goal as a labor union is to promote the survival of the middle class. Our members are highly trained and use the latest technology. In an obvious fact, you as the board are not going to make everybody happy with your decision. However, I urge you to make the decision that will provide work for citizens of the state. It seems that people think that this one project is no big deal. What they're not understanding is all construction is temporary. That's how we make our living, support our families, pay our taxes, and purchase goods and services within our communities. It is also how we provide health insurance for ourselves and families and pay for our pensions. There are wonderful advances in renewable energy sources. Our members have worked approximately 90% of all wind turbines erected across the state and are currently working at the hydro dam at Lake Red Rock. Although those turbines will provide excellent energy sources, they are not going to get a farm tractor across the field, nor will they make any other petroleum-based products that we all use on a daily basis. At some point, advances will probably be made, which will lessen our dependence on crude oil, but that time is not now or not tomorrow. This pipeline will bring tremendous opportunity for providing an instant economic benefit to the communities along the line during construction. It will bring millions in tax dollars. We will have an increase of domestic oil and
we have opportunities that we can. My name is Heidi Drees White, D-R-E-E-S-White. I live at 309 M Avenue in Nevada. And when the pipeline was proposed, I had a farm that lay about a mile south of the proposed route through northwest Boone County. Eric Schmidt, advocate for the labor union pipeline, speaks of the 30 trains carrying crude oil through Iowa each week. He speaks of the union jobs it would create by building the pipeline, and I'm going to speak of the union jobs that it would take away from the railroaders. It takes a two-person crew to take a train from Omaha to Boone, and another two-person crew to take that train from Boone to Clinton. That means 4 people to take an oil tank train across the state, and 4 people to take it back empty. 240 jobs per week, and 12,480 jobs each year. These trains are moved by Iowans who live in our state permanently and are currently employed in union positions. I am a former railroad employee, local UTU 329 out of Boone. Furloughed in 2008, a week before Thanksgiving, thanks to the housing market and foreclosure crisis that struck our country and caused the greatest recession in modern time. As of a week ago, there are 50 furloughed out of the Boone terminal, 34 out of the Clinton terminal, 5 at Mason City, and 10 out of the Des Moines terminal. Let's work to getting these 99 people back to work and not take any more jobs away from them. I have nothing against unions or union labor, but I'm tired of hearing these false railroad statistics. Peak car loading level is 200,000 rail cars per week. Current car loadings this week are 171,784. That's almost 30,000 unused rail cars. Don't let the opposition tell you grain shipments are being strangled due to oil shipments. That's simply false. They don't even use the same type of rail car, really. Taking over 12,000 jobs away from union labor who are settled in Iowa with permanent residents in favor of 4,000 temporary construction jobs is not beneficial to the overall health of our state. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bob Schroeder. We're 32 Plain Sheridan, Illinois. We rise today to support the pipeline. This is not the first hearing I've had an opportunity to stand at. It is in Iowa. I represent, my local union has 9 counties, 9.5 counties on Mississippi. I also have members that live in Iowa. I've attended these hearings in Illinois. I've heard much of the same discussion that we hear today. We just got done with a 2-year, 168-mile pipeline, 30-inch oil. We came across 4 of the counties that I represent. The opposition was the same. At the end of the day, when the pipeline is done, I would challenge anybody to drive that 168 miles and see what the work that is done by the contractors who've done that, and the kind of workforce who've done that. There's places that you can't even tell the pipeline is there. There's always an inherent risk
in front of the media area.
Disaster.
Is keeping the media in the media area.
We accept that inherent risk every day. You go to the grocery store, you buy vegetables, you buy bread, you buy all of these things that are grown by farmers across the country. Those farmers use pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, get seep into the water supply. Just like what you claim will happen in all this stuff here. You accept those things and you move on down the road. So, putting the pipeline in here, it may have an accident, it may not have. But the bottom line is, the benefit that it's going to perform in the long run to drop our dependency on foreign oil and putting our brothers and sisters and sons and daughters in inherent risk every day in the military. This has to be something that the board would consider, and I hope you do.
My name is Cheryl Valenka, and I'm from 2409 C Avenue Northeast in Cedar Rapids. I attended 4 of the public hearings that the utility board had, and the Dakota Access was struck by each time.
You gotta sit or pick a chair. There's like 20 chairs,
man. Would be
man.
100% consumed by Americans. It would support 4,000 jobs in Iowa over a year and a half, and the rail system would be freed up for ag products. The public was allowed 1 question, and as the Dakota Access rep answered, it was clear the selling points were all fabricated. During questioning, Chuck admitted that Dakota Access is like FedEx and only provides the transportation of the oil. He stated that there are several investors that own the oil, and it's the investors that determine the final destination. Because the Bakken would connect to an existing line that runs to the Gulf, all 570,000 barrels per day could be exported, which completely negates the claim that oil would be consumed by Americans. Dakota Access also admitted during questioning there wouldn't be 4,000 Iowans employed. At most, it would be 2,000. And the length of employment wouldn't be a year and a half, it would be more like 6 to 8 months. When Chuck was asked if Dakota Access would continue to transport Bakken oil by rail, he said, "All I can say is that oil running through the pipeline will not be transported by rail," basically admitting oil will continue to be transported by rail anyway. Everything Chuck stated in his initial claims, he then contradicted when he answered questions from the public. Inconsistencies ranging from the depth of pipe under land and water, temperature of oil, flashpoint, and number of jobs for Iowans, his answers would change from county to county. Without hearing these inconsistencies, landowners only received the false claims by Dakota Access, believing them to be true. Many landowners believed the selling points were true and actually signed a land easement under false pretense, which is illegal. Dakota's Access main points cannot even be corroborated by their own staff. Clearly, there is no public convenience or necessity for Iowans with this project.
Good morning. My name is Dale Balsinger, B-O-L-S-I-N-G-E-R, 3967 Lumber Road, Colesburg, Iowa. I stand here today in support of the pipeline coming through the state of Iowa for several reasons. This pipeline will generate thousands of good-paying jobs for our members throughout the state. This pipeline is the safest way to transport the basin oil. No more train derailments in the future. It is the most environmentally safe way to move oil. This pipeline will boost local businesses all along the route, pumping money into hotels, restaurants, and other small businesses. Our members build careers off temporary jobs. All construction projects are temporary jobs. We do the project, we finish it up, we move on to the next one. This pipeline will get us one step closer to getting away from dependency on foreign oil. In my last comment today, I would like to touch on a little bit of my own personal experience with construction labor. 20 years ago, I started my career as a laborer, putting underground utilities into the ground. I had personally installed miles of gas lines to some of the most pristine country in the Midwest. 20 years ago, those were temporary jobs. We finished the project, we moved on.
Mary Richards, 3217 West Street in Iowa. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters and therefore of the Bakken Resistance Coalition, and I'm a grandmother. I want to frame my remarks with your own Iowa Utilities Board mission statement, which states that you will regulate utilities to ensure reasonably priced, reliable, environmentally responsible, and safe utility services made available to all Iowans. I'd like to look at that in reverse, last phrase first. No utility services will be made available to any Iowans as a result of this pipeline. It only traverses the state, doesn't leave anything here. In terms of safety, the lack of the safety of pipeline transportation, as a matter of fact, any kind of transportation of hazardous materials, including crude oil, is well documented and has already been addressed. Environmentally responsible. Taking the Bakken crude oil from the Bakken shale would be very irresponsible. To begin with, the fracking that's required to do that guzzles water that's becoming ever more scarce. And The whole process postpones the weaning of our society from its dependence on carbon-releasing fossil fuels to a greater reliance on renewable energy sources that are produced right here in Iowa. Things like solar, wind, and biorenewable fuels. Those would be reliable and reasonably priced. And the development of them will provide both construction and operation jobs that will also directly benefit Iowans. I urge you to adhere to your board's mission statement and deny clear cuts.
Hello, my name is Brandy Vanderhoff, Lingelbach, 309 Lake Street, Unit 5. I'm a union member of Labor's International Union of North America, Local 353. I am the administrative assistant for the Iowa Laborers Education and Training Fund in Dearborn, Iowa. I see every day the effort and education that goes into training union members. So I stand before you today in support of the Dakota Access pipeline, knowing that if approved, it will be built with the best training and most safety-conscious workers. As a union member, I support jobs in America that employ union workers. I also support energy independence and want our hard-earned dollars to stay in this country. I feel that the Dakota Access pipeline will benefit communities, employees, and their families, and will also be the safest way to transport crude oil across our state. I am a proud union member and poised to make sure our members are provided with necessary training to make this pipeline more safe and well-maintained in the United States. And I support the Dakota Access pipeline. Thank you.
Reading an excerpt from a statement from Ed Allen, FALLSN, 735 19th Street in Warren Harbor. Ms. Jacobs, Ms. Suchik, the three of us served in the legislature, and I know you take this process seriously. And as this is one of the most important matters ever to be brought before the Iowa Utilities Board, I hope you take the time needed to make the right decision. I oppose the pipeline for many reasons. First, I am deeply concerned about climate change. A 100% renewable fuels economy without a grasp allowing this pipeline to go forward only further stalls this essential transition. Second, I am deeply concerned about the negative impact on private land or public waterways. Third, I have been an active defender of property rights since the three of us worked together in the Iowa State House. I walked the length of the proposed pipeline earlier this year. I could tell you story after story of landowners, farmers, and other property owners who are passionately opposed to this pipeline. I also met landowners who already signed an easement with a pipeline company, yet less than a third said they felt good about it. Many landowners signed under duress. Some signed because times were tough and they needed the money. Most signed under the impression that they had no choice. Some of the tactics used by Dakota Access's representatives could only describe as disingenuous or even bullying. Reps often gave the impression that the company already had a permit or would certainly granted one. Landowners were told that if they refused to sell land voluntarily, the company would condemn the land and they get much less money. Prices offered to landowners very drastically. I heard consistently that reps would start by offering $6,000 an acre, but would always settle for more than that, usually between $10,000 and $18,000 an acre, one even about $36,000. In other words, the company's so-called final best offer very broadly suggests a company that encouraged distrust to deal disingenuously with landowners in order to get rid
Yes, I'm here subject for Kirk Cornice. My name is David Fry. I'm number 54 on your list. I live at 808 Spring Valley Drive, Indianapolis, Indiana. I am also here in support of my brothers and sisters from Iowa. I also want to tell you about a pipeline that went through Indiana in 2008 and 2009. That pipeline in Indiana lifted up all small communities and all laborers and all workers, be it union or non-union, in the state of Indiana. as it will do here for Iowans in the great state of Iowa. Our brothers and sisters deserve this work. They are good people, and as we are in Indiana. But most of all, I want to stress to you that since this pipeline was put in 2008 and 2009, I'm not aware of one leak that happened in Indiana. And I also believe that will be true for this pipeline when it goes through Iowa. Our members in Indiana work on refineries, oil in, oil out all the time. Hardly ever on these pipelines coming out anymore with the way everything is improved, especially since 2008 and 2009. This pipeline will be safe. I too support the environment strongly, but I too support the work this pipeline will put out. I urge you to support this pipeline. Thank you.
Ross Girders, Polk County, 2010 Copperwood, Fort Pleasant Hill. I'm here for the future. This pipeline puts our children's future at risk. It puts my daughter's future in jeopardy. The benefits of this project are greatly outweighed by externalized costs which Iowans and those beyond the state subsidize. It puts landowners at risk, it puts Iowans at risk, it puts our world at risk. Even without a spill, oil moved in this pipeline at great risk to Iowa will negatively impact two of the biggest sectors in the Iowa economy, farming and insurance. Farmers increasingly bear the brunt of climate change caused by fossil fuels. Insurance companies will be forced to pass on costs to policyholders and Iowa workers. We already pay too much subsidy to the deadly fossil fuel industry. As a union locomotive engineer, I know a little bit about trains. I know oil will continue to be shipped by rail. How? Because oil company executives have told us it will. I have also asked our state legislators if they will regulate stop oil by rail post-pipeline. They will not. To my union brothers and sisters supporting this project, we hurt our fellow workers. We hurt fellow union members by teaming up with anti-union forces like fossil fuel companies. We must forego our short-term interests in order to win economic justice. Fossil fuels directly oppose wind and solar job opportunities in our local communities. Imagine if this board and our union members were supporting these initiatives. Imagine what our rural communities might look like with these permanent jobs. We need to end the fossil fuel addiction, and in order to do that, we need the help of our union brothers and sisters, and we need the help of the Iowa Utilities Board. Please support Iowa landowners, Iowa workers, and please oppose the Bakken pipeline.
At this time, I would ask that numbers 41 through 50 approach the staging area that's on the right. My right, your left.
Good morning. My name is Robert Fred. I'm from Northern Indiana, and I'm here in support of the pipeline. The pipeline will be a $3.7 billion investment in Iowa and over $13 billion total investment. A pipeline will add around 2,000 to 4,000 construction career opportunities with millions of hours in labor throughout the construction days and pay a living wage to the workers. The pipeline will translate to millions in state and local revenue during construction phase and an estimated $29 million annually in property taxes and income taxes. Research shows that the dairy pipelines are statistically the safest and most economically efficient means of transporting oil. This is according to the U.S. Department of Transportation, and that's why I'm supporting the pipeline.
My name is Virginia Meyer. I live at 5281 Roxy Avenue Southeast in Lone Tree, Iowa. You on the Iowa Utilities Board are charged with a very difficult and awesome responsibility. You must make a decision that has life-changing consequences for the people of Iowa.
It's going to be easy to do this, make this decision. But you have also been given an awesome opportunity to protect and secure the future, the health of our land and our water and our people for generations to come. You have the ability to help our state and our nation transition to clean and sustainable energy. You can deny the building of the infrastructure that facilitates all of this dirty fossil fuel. When will we stop building dirty infrastructure? We have to change. That is a powerful and positive contribution that you can give to us. Now, you can decide that an out-of-state company can put our fertile soil and our precious water at risk for private gain. You can decide to reduce the productivity of the best farmland in the world and give a corporation higher profits. You can decide to take the land away from Iowa farmers and give it to a Texas pipeline company. You can decide to make some owners and some executives very wealthy indeed. Or you can protect our resources, you can protect for the future generations, you can make a life-enhancing decision for the people of Iowa. The choice is yours, and I hope you make the right one.
My name is James Bell. I'm from Rockridge, Illinois. I'm here to support the pipeline. I would like to thank you all for your public service and for the things you do for the citizens of Iowa first. Secondly, this pipeline, I believe, will provide good jobs for people that will be able to support their families. My grandfather was a laborer for in excess of 50 years. My father was a laborer. I am a laborer, and my son is a fourth generation that has been able to finish the Laborers Apprenticeship program. And no one will be able to convince me that these aren't careers. These are not temporary jobs. These temporary jobs are actual careers for generations of families. My hope is that when this project begins, there will be individuals on the project who are able to look back and say maybe potentially that they are the first generation of laborers to work on this project or operating engineer roadcraft, and their families, in fact, will follow behind them and do the same thing. And therefore, I ask that you support this project.
I am Phyllis Moore Bird, B-I-R-D, 1605 Lincoln Avenue, Webster City, Iowa, and I am here on behalf of Greg and Trish Moore, Rockville City, Calhoun County, Iowa, and our 115-year-old family farm. We are very concerned about the extremely volatile oil that will be going through our land. Also, the destruction of our land, drainage system, and the use of eminent domain. Dakota Access is a private, out-of-state company with billions of dollars for little or no compensation to thousands of farmers in Iowa residents. There is no benefit to anyone in Iowa, only potential disaster when the pipeline breaks. Dakota Access could claim bankruptcy and leave all the taxpayers in Iowa to pay for it. A communist government can take land away from its citizens. Are we any different if you allow a private company to use eminent domain? Since the very first letter we received from Dakota Access, they have threatened the use of eminent domain. They have told us this pipeline is a done deal and that the landowner should sign. They have stockpiled twice in Iowa and recently contracted an appraisal company. There has been no decision on the commit. The arrogance has made everyone believe it is a done deal. Therefore, people have signed the proposal under false pretenses. Our land is not for sale. Your decision will create precedents for future private companies
to use our land for their own profits. Please reject this pipeline permit. Thank you.
Bears repeating with great pride that you have been a household careers. Through our apprenticeship programs, we are the most highly productive and efficient workforce available. Smart, well-vetted infrastructure projects such as this don't just create financial gain, but consider the amount of health insurance coverage that will provide for thousands of members in Iowa. This project, with the millions of man hours, could be the difference in the amount of health insurance coverage that not only our members, but their spouses and families could enjoy for years to come. In a time when health insurance is a polarizing topic, our self-reliant health and welfare programs create wellness in our communities. We will debate that infrastructure policy going forward is to improve and create while simultaneously creating jobs. We believe that this project creates that perfect opportunity, and we hope that we approve that. Thank you.
Hey everybody. My name is Hugh Westy. I'm here as a proud member of Iowa CCI, and I live in Des Moines at 1005 63rd Street. I want to talk a little bit to my friends out in the audience. I got friends out in the audience that wear blue shirts. And I got friends out in the audience that wear orange shirts. I saw Kenny Gwynn coming when I was out here. He's an orange shirt. He's with Lyuna. He's a friend of mine. Earl Aiken. He's with Building and Trades. He's a friend of mine. I don't have a bone to pick with the union. I don't have a bone to pick with you fellows at all. The real villain is not in this room. The real villain is corporate power. The real villain is big money corporations. The real villain is Dakota Access and ETP and Big Oil. The real villain is the Koch brothers. The real villain is Terry Branstad. And the real villain is Scott Walker. I got a bone to pick with those folks. I don't have a bone to pick with the orange and the blue shirts at all. When orange and blue fight each other, we lose. And you know who wins? Big Oil, corporate power, Rick Perry, Koch brothers, Terry Branstad, Big Oil, they win. We lose, people and planet loses. By the way, I'm opposed to the pipeline. But when blue and orange unite, we fight corporate power, we win. Blue and orange unite, fight corporate power. Blue and orange unite, fight corporate power. Blue and orange unite, fight corporate power. Now you might think that's a pipe dream, but it's not. It's happening all over the country. Labor Network for Sustainability is doing it. We're in labor groups, community groups, and environmental groups together to move us to a clean energy economy, move us away from fossil fuels. Blue and orange unite, fight corporate power.
Brian Baskey, 628 East Main Street, Port Iowa. I support the Dakota Access pipeline and encourage Iowa Utility Board to grant permit for the construction of this project. I served as a business agent for operating engineers over 234. I'm a graduate of the apprenticeship program. I've seen firsthand how projects such as Dakota Access can benefit its members with good paying jobs, benefits, and allow them to build careers and support their families. While my primary job focuses on skilled craft and trades, I also have a small farming operation here in Iowa. I often hear farmers concerned that there are too much oil used in the freight rail system and how it creates problems for them to get access to rail cars to ship their products to market. And American Farm Bureau Federation study found that Midwest farmers have lost over $500 million in revenue because of delays in delivering agricultural products to town because of shortage of rail cars. These delays stretch out for over several weeks in most extreme cases. Farmers depend quickly and efficiently on affordable rail deliveries to get their products to town. The Dakota Access pipeline will help relieve stress on rail cars in the Midwest. The pipeline is safe, reliable method of transportation, and will also help secure energy independence. Thank you for your time today, and I support the Dakota Access pipeline. I hope the board does too. Thank you.
My name is Lou Bolster. I'm a landowner in Jefferson County, 506 South 4th Street. Members of the IUB, you are charged with determining if this project is of convenience and necessity for the people of Iowa. It is not a public utility. We can talk about whether the issue of eminent domain, the misuse of eminent domain, and that it will affect 60% of the people along this pipeline route. We can talk about the economics of this project. Only 25 or less permanent jobs, only $250,000 surety bond. That's barely enough to buy pizza for a cleanup crew for a week. We can talk about climate change. We can talk about the use and support of oil, or we can talk about that Iowa is the #1 wind state in the nation and what we can do to continue supporting that. We can talk about breaking the oil energy habit. We need to begin that somewhere. Let it begin with Iowa. Let Iowa be #1 in determining and deciding no to oil. We can talk about the lack of an environmental impact study. We can talk about this very process, that there are so many people here in support of this project that are from out of state, that are talking about the use of Iowa land and Iowa taxes. We can talk about this one part that scares me the most, and that's the name of this company, the last few words, Limited Liability Corporation. That should scare the hell out of everybody. That's there for one reason and one reason alone. That protects them and their assets. It does nothing to protect Iowa. It does nothing to protect Iowans or the ground we stand on and live to protect. So I ask you, please, this is not a public utility. Vote no on this project. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Tim Ryan, 1404 Coffee Drive, Normal, Illinois. I'm a fifth generation laborer, and I am standing in support of this project, and I see IUB do that as well. It is estimated this project will create between 2,000 and 4,000 jobs. I understand that is an estimate as of right now, and these jobs are career, which we've all said. We do not look at these as a temporary job, we look at these as a career path for all our workers. We are the only workforce out there that works for ourselves out of work, and the next day we find the next job and go back to work and do that over and over and over again. These jobs provide health care, training, and the best pensions you can have. We are a self-funded health care plan, and we provide our membership of better health care. This project will be built with a local workforce in the local communities. It has already been assigned to the local union homes in the area, so I guarantee that the workers will be from Iowa and from the surrounding community. So I stand here today and ask the IUB to support this project to help Iowa put their members back to work.
Hi, my name is Jess Mazur, and I'm a proud member of Iowa CCI and resident of Des Moines, Iowa, 5637 Dalborough Avenue. Key word of that is resident of Iowa. I'm adamantly opposed to the Bakken pipeline. I've heard dozens of reasons why we should not build this pipeline. It will negatively impact our water, our soil. It will negatively impact agriculture, our wildlife, our rivers, our streams, our aquifers, our climate. It will negatively impact our fossil fuel dependence. It will impact our democracy and our future generations. The list goes on and on and on. I've only heard 3 reasons why people are supporting the pipeline. Jobs, safer than rail, and keeps our soldiers here. Imagine if we invested in clean energy, like wind or solar. We can create jobs, We can avoid rail and pipeline, and we can end our dependence on fossil fuels to keep our soldiers here. That's the alternative that we should be pursuing. If you approve this pipeline, you are assisting in the destruction of our planet Earth. Plain and simple. It is clear from the threats that this pipeline causes that it outweighs the false benefits. IUB members, this is your chance to leave your legacy on Iowa. Will it be that you left this place a mess for our children to deal with? Or will it be that you set an example for future generations? If you want this pipeline, stand up. If you don't want this pipeline, stand up. Sorry. If you want to let me hear no talking. Let me hear no talking. If you want green jobs, let me hear no talking. If you want to make Iowa a better place for future generations, let me hear no talking. If you want this board to deny the Bakken pipeline, let me hear no talking. Thank you.
I'm here as a union member and a veteran to support this pipeline. As a union member, I'm here to support the thousands of jobs that will create for brothers and sisters in Iowa. And as a veteran, I'm here to support the pipeline to help us become more energy independent and keep out of the Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bernie Newell. My address is 11673 South 128th Avenue East, Kelly, Iowa. I'm a union member. My son is a welder, yet my family and I oppose the pipeline. The projected pipeline route includes a section of farmland currently owned by my father, Carl Van Zee, and Uncle Lloyd Van Zee. This is a scenic piece of land in Jasper County in a floodplain of the Skunk River. Dakota Access has proven to be a dishonest company when dealing with my family and other landowners. My dad did not give them permission to do an initial survey of the land, but he was told by Dakota Access that he had given permission. Then Dakota Access contacted Lloyd in Wisconsin. He was told that Carl had agreed to the survey. Lloyd signed an agreement to survey stating that he was in agreement only if Carl agrees. So with no real permission from either landowner, Dakota Access conducted a survey of the land. In May, Lloyd was again contacted by Dakota Access and told Carl had agreed to the easement proposal. Again, a lie. Lloyd signed the agreement for easement and wrote on the contract that he only agreed to the proposal if Carl also approved. Lloyd was sent a handwritten check from Dakota Access for over $22,000. This dishonest company should not be trusted with a project that could easily destroy Iowa's precious natural resources. Eminent domain should not be used. The pipeline is for public use. Dakota Access is clearly a private company intending to take private land for their own profit. Dakota Access has admitted they don't have the funds to pay for cleanup of potential leaks. Taxpayers will be responsible for cleanup. There is no benefit for Iowa. There is no guarantee oil prices will decrease for consumers. Rail lines will still be used for transporting oil. It will not eliminate spills from trucks or rail accidents. I hope you will consider my opinion and the opinion of many Iowans and vote no on this project.
Jeff Duffy, 213 Avenue, East Lansing. I am the field rep secretary treasurer for the Laborers Local out of Rock Island, which is counties in Iowa. I'm also on the Rock Island County Board, so I want to thank you guys for your calling today as public servants. I had to make a choice on Kumon, which was a wind power for us. In our fiscal responsibilities, we had to look at the tax revenue body and the jobs. I think you guys should look at that too. For these jobs are not just, these are middle-class jobs. These are not $7 an hour jobs. So imagine Iowans looking here and saying $20 plus for a good job. These are Iowans that will take their families out with them to the movies. These are Iowans that live here, pay taxes here. And that's what you should be looking at.
Our members, I have 4 members that live in Iowa, that will be working in Iowa, but we will also be hiring people from Iowa communities. These are Iowa jobs for Iowa people. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Patty P. 1522 29th Street in Des Moines, Iowa. I speak against the pipeline. The oil industry is a toxic, polluting industry in all its aspects. This pipeline just perpetuates this system. Our environment, climate, and people can no longer tolerate this dirty energy. We must seek cleaner forms of energy. There are no guarantees strong enough that there won't be any leaks. But we, the people of Iowa, pay when there are damages to our land, to our water, and to our health. My family experienced health problems from the oil industry. My uncle worked in an oil refinery. It was common knowledge among the workers that you were lucky if you lived to retirement. And if you did make it to retirement, you would not live very long thereafterwards. My uncle died of cancer a year after he retired. This pipeline brings no great benefits to Iowa beyond some jobs. But the damage and the potential damage to our state could be overwhelming. Remember that you work and are paid for by the people of Iowa, and that's whose best interest you should protect. I urge you to deny this pipeline. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matt Smith, 33177 Dexter Road, Thames, Illinois. I'm here to support the jobs that this project will create. I'm a landowner, farmer, a hunter, and fisherman. I love nature and I love the environment, and I can guarantee you that the laborers in the other trades will build this pipeline safely and efficiently. The country is ready to be free of oil and other fossil fuels. Laborers also build wind turbines, solar plants. We continue to build those also. We'll build America into the future. Thank you.
My name is Peter Malnick. I live at 2011 Rochester Avenue in New York City. Chairman Hughes, you have a tough job today. Thank you. I have the deepest respect for those pipeline workers who are here to speak in support of honest labor. In a broad view, labor and sound environmental policy do not have to be a conflict, but I understand that it appears otherwise. There have been 4 500-year floods in Iowa in the past 2 decades. This is consistent with the fact that our climate is changing due to the burning of fossil fuels by humans. This according to 97% of all climate scientists. In order to avoid even more catastrophic damage to life as we know it, we need to stop and reverse our increasing use of fossil fuels now, not tomorrow, not next year. Again, this dire prediction is supported by an overwhelming majority of climate scientists. One of you is an engineer. You especially know that you ignore the laws of physics and what the data tell you at your peril. The oil that would flow through this pipeline, because it occurs mixed with plain sand, results in a generation of about 17% more greenhouse gases than an equivalent amount of conventional drilled oil. To invest in this infrastructure for this kind of oil will have profound, irreversible consequences in the long run. Governor Branstad appointed you because he felt you would be able to represent the people of Iowa when issues such as this arise, and I trust that he has chosen wisely. You serve at the pleasure of the governor, but you serve the people of Iowa. Thank you for your time and your hard work.
I am now calling up numbers 51 through 60 over to the staging area on the right. But I also want you to be aware that the board will take a short recess as soon as we get through numbers 50.
Mike Todd, 421 Treasure Circle, Northside, Illinois. I'm a member of Labor's Local 459. I'm here on behalf of the members of Southwest Illinois Labor's District Council. And one of the reasons why I'm here on behalf of the members is because this pipeline is approved in Iowa and will go through the area I live in. The pipeline is important to me because it affects many of my family and friends' livelihoods. This pipeline would create thousands of jobs for not only Iowans, but it would create thousands of jobs for the neighboring states of Iowa. Pipelines are the safest way of transporting crude oil, according to statistics from the U.S. Department of Transportation. That's why I encourage this board to approve the Dakota Access pipeline. Thank you.
My name is Elka Brandes, B-R-A-N-D, as in Delta, E-S. I am 1202 Idaho Fort Ames, Iowa. By allowing Dakota Access to build the pipeline, you would agree to a project that causes destruction and pollution locally and globally. It would bring a few jobs to Iowa, that's right. But while some might get a job, others have to fear extensive damages to their farmland. And many have to live with the risk of spills and devastating, expensive consequences, as we've seen elsewhere. I'm from Europe. My family and I will not live here in Iowa for a long time, so you might wonder why I'm here. I'm standing with everyone who is directly affected by the pipeline. And I'm also standing here because this project has global implications. Each new oil pipeline solidifies the status quo of our society that runs on dirty energy, that is fueled by finite resources, and that uses much more than our planet can sustain. So I'm also standing here for many people in other places of the world, communities that work hard to become carbon emission free, businesses that cut their margins to invest in climate-friendly solutions, families that dedicate their time and effort on saving energy, individuals, groups, or whole cities that take the threat of global warming seriously and act accordingly. Their efforts are treated with contempt by every new oil pipeline that is being built. By rejecting the pipeline, you will take a brave step forward. You could take a firm stand to lead Iowa and the U.S. into a cleaner future. I urge you to reject the Bakken pipeline.
Illinois, and I'm speaking on behalf of Matt Howard. I'm number 60 on the list. First off, I'd like to thank the board for taking the time and patience to listen to all this testimony. We'll start off by saying, we're at a time where people from Iowa and around the country are suffering because they can't even find a job. More or less a big thing. And that's what we've got here. That's what's facing Iowa, right staring you right in the eyes, is good paying jobs. It's all you hear about in political campaigns is politicians something about creating good paying jobs. Well, here we have it. And you, the board, can do something that these politicians say they can do, but they don't do. By supporting this project, you can create many good paying jobs for Iowa residents that stimulate the local economy for years to come.
I'm a resident of Des Moines. I live at 1117 26th Street. Again, I live in Iowa. My name is Carrie Fisher, and I'm a child of union laborers. My earliest memories were made in the Union Hall and on the picket line, standing up to the Hormel Corporation in the 1980s. We were there on strike against our immediate self-interest to fight for our future. Hormel was seriously threatening wages, benefits, job security, and quality of life for our family and countless others. That fight against big money interest for the sake of everyday people is the same fight I find myself in again. I'm so proud to have come from a union family, and I will always stand up for the rights of union workers and the rights of all workers to organize. I'm asking the Iowa Utilities Board to reject the permit to the out-of-state energy transfer partners for the proposed Dakota Access pipeline. I ask this in the name of environmental protection and the rights of property owners, but the number one reason I'm here today asking that you reject this dangerous pipeline is because I believe in and see the necessity of a future for all workers. Our climate crisis is real, and fossil fuels are a leading contributor. At the rate we're going, sped up by the extraction of toxic crude and the perpetuation of unsustainable energy, there will not be a world for our future and grandchildren, for our children and grandchildren to support themselves on. To the labor groups here today, and to you, Iowa Utilities Board, I assure you that we want the same things. We all want to provide for our families and allow them to provide for themselves. I warmly ask that you see past your immediate self-interest and consider a future as one human family. Please join the call for renewable energy infrastructure and true energy independence. And always remember that there are no jobs on a dead planet.
Thank you, members of the Iowa Utilities Board. Thank you for your opportunity to speak today. My name is Alicia Rodriguez. I'm a field rep in the labor block 1140, which represents workers in Western Iowa. I'm here today to voice my support of this important pipeline project. This project will reduce pay jobs with benefits for our training and experienced workers all across Iowa. It is important for the workers and their families to yield through this informed job creating pipeline. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Hello, my name is Craig Peterson. I reside at 495 105th Street, Dayton, Iowa. And I'm the landowner in northern Boone County. Our farm has been in the family for 148 years, which sounds like a long time, but doesn't come close to the easement agreement that Dakota Access wants us to sign. They want the rights to my land, and I quote, for the purpose of excessive establishing, laying, constructing, reconstructing, installing, realigning, modifying, replacing, improving, altering, substituting, operating, maintaining, accessing, inspecting, patrolling, protecting, and repairing, changing the size of, relocating and changing the route or routes of, abandoning in place and removing at will one pipeline not to exceed 30 inches in number diameter in any applicant facility, in, over, through, across, under, and along land owned by me as grant. In other words, they want to do whatever, whenever, wherever. I'm sure the oil company is smiling right now. What a way to slap Iowa corn farmers in the face by digging a trench diagonally across the aisle, right through prime ethanol producing acres. They will cut thousands of private tile lines and county tile lines. Everyone is concerned about oil leak. All I ever hear is not if or when. What would an oil leak do to our water supply when it enters those tile lines that go over, under, and next to the pipeline? I wonder if Bill Stowe would be concerned then. The Bakken pipeline is pretty sure of getting okay to start digging. They have all the pipe and stockpiles and paid out millions of dollars in signed contracts. They knew that Iowa farmers were independent and could not get organized together to stop this pipeline. So it looks like it's up to the three of you. This shouldn't be about politics. This should be about being good stewards of our land. The Iowa Utility Board can vote no. Help protect Iowa precious assets, our water and our soil. You are deciding the fate of our state. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Lynn Pickard, 2406 Northwest 12th Street, Aiken, Iowa. I'm the Administrative Training Director of Iowa Education Training Fund located out of North Iowa. We are responsible for training men and women and members of the Laborers International Union in North America across the state of Iowa. I've been in the construction industry for 26 years. I've had the opportunity to train workers in 42 different states on projects that include Ground Zero, Hurricane Katrina, Anthrax, the shuttle, Space Shuttle, Columbia, disaster in Texas and New Mexico, and Anthrax in New Jersey. I'm here today to support the construction of this pipeline across Iowa. With our industry-recognized training, I believe we have the capability and resources to train the next generation workforce necessary to complete this project and ensure it is built to the highest standard of safety to the workers, to the environment, and the landowners. In Iowa, currently there's over 40,000 miles of pipeline. Over the last decade, there have been several leaks and spills. However, since an increase of safety and regulations, those spills and instances have greatly reduced in the last 5 years. It is still the safest way to transport these materials. Some of the environmental groups have protested pipelines because of leaks. Some are here today supporting the agricultural corporations. I know of no other business industry besides agricultural that can take a drain tile pipe from the business, run it directly into our rivers, lakes, streams, without any kind of regulation. It is these drain tiles, not pipelines, that carry pesticides, nitrates, fertilizers that have greatly increased contamination levels in our drinking. I strongly urge you to support this. Thank you.
I'm Rebecca Ross, 18 Valley View, Knoll, Iowa City, Iowa. And I'm not being paid to speak today. And I'm here today to speak to the people in the audience of the Iowa Utility Board Public Comment Session. I would like to remind you that the members of this board were not elected by the people. So I'm not begging them for anything. I'm begging you, the people, to insist that our rights be upheld. The Constitution of the state of Iowa states all political power is inherent in the people. The government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit of the people, and they have the right at all times to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require. The right our right to clean water is part of our security, since we cannot live without clean water. The Bakken pipeline will definitely put clean water at risk. Many major rivers and creeks will be in danger of being polluted. The right to protect our land from oil spills is also a risk. The fact that Dakota Access has a surety bond of $250,000 is a joke, because the cost of an oil spill would run much more than this on one person's land. A for-profit corporation's rights should not trump a real person's right to protect their land. The 100 Grannies are working to create local bill of rights where a town or county defines the qualities that their area must have to make it a good place to live. One that offers its residents life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. 200 communities in 9 states have already passed these ordinances. Most of these ordinances are protecting the citizens from fracking or heavy metal containing sewer sludge being used as farm fertilizer. We, the people of Iowa, should be the ones who decide whether we want this for-profit pipeline running through our state. This regulatory hearing process violates our right to govern ourselves in our communities. I encourage you to find
will support a living wage and a sustainable wage with benefits for all of us. 4,000 is the suggested number of workers. I believe that might be a misconception, and I'll explain that later. this pipeline is going to be the safest method to transport oil, whether it's, rail and interstate pipeline is the safest. I've never seen, now I'm going to back up here. I've never seen a pipeline in Oklahoma go back. I live 30 miles east of Cushing, Oklahoma, which if y'all will look up is the pipeline crossroads of America. I stand before you and I understand that people are trying to get away from fossil fuels, but right now we can. As I was standing in the parking lot earlier this morning, I looked out, I didn't see a car one that has sail on it. Well as needed. In closing, I will touch on the 4,000 jobs, which is, I thought was a misconception before. I think we all need to look at the support staff of these 4,000 jobs, whether it be hotel workers, restaurant workers, convenience stores. Keep in mind the pipeline.
All right. Yeah.
So, for the members of the audience, number 50 has not checked in. Is 51 standing there? Are you 51? Come over to the mic, please. And pull that mic up to you so that there you go.
My name is Linda Sorensen. I live at 3291 Mississippi River Road in Keokuk, Iowa. 137 years ago today, on November 12, 1878, on a farm in Carroll County, Iowa, my grandfather was born. He was an Iowan, and all my close ancestors were Iowans. I'm an Iowan, I can speak as an Iowan. That's why I'm proud that the bonds of our state are rated AAA by Standard & Poor's, and I'm appalled that the bonds of Energy Transfer Partners are rated B minus by the same agency. I said ETP rather than Dakota Access because it is the parent company, and Dakota Access was only incorporated in March of 2014, and therefore it has never installed a pipeline before. I'm proud that many say Iowa has the highest literacy rate in the nation, but I'm appalled that Iowans have not read the many pages Dakota Access has requested for easement rights, such as the access easement which seeks unimpeded entry, quote, into, through, on, over, under, and across the grantor's property for all purposes necessary, and at all times convenient and necessary to exercise the right granted if Dakota Access by this agreement. I'm tolerant of the fact that Iowa mandates liability coverage for all of our vehicles, and I'm appalled that it requires a mere $250,000 surety bond for a hazardous material pipeline traversing the entire state and our major rivers and streams. Yeah. I'm proud that Iowa has embraced renewable energy and made the workforce capable of adapting to these jobs if the market is fair and subsidies are equalized. We Iowans pride ourselves with being honest, hardworking, and fair. We've been blessed with a golden goose of good land, plentiful water, and decent air. Those in power need to maintain our rights and not give them over to corporate carpetbaggers who neither understand our past nor care about our future.
Hello, my name is Thomas Keelan, speaker number 50. I live in Moline, Illinois. I'm the business manager for the plumbers, pipe fitters, and the gas distribution workers. I represent over 1,500 skilled building trades workers. We cover the state of Iowa, the entire state of Iowa with distribution. I'm here today in support of the Dakota Access Pipeline, which will support not only the public, but also all of my rank and file members. This project is an economic must for the consumers of America. The pipeline will bring millions of dollars to the state and local tax base, which in turn will provide revenue for a lot of projects such as community resources like schools, roads, and hospitals. This project will also bring good wages and benefits to a multitude of Iowa workers in the communities in which they live, work, and play. Iowa should be in support of providing construction jobs with a highly trained, skilled, productive, and safe workforce. The middle-class Iowa working men and women provide for their families by working these type of projects. Construction jobs like the Dakota Access Pipeline is what we as construction workers do for a living. We build things to the highest standards in the safest means possible. Iowa should encourage jobs such as these to come to this state. Energy independence will help keep our economy growing, manufacturing flourishing, and will ensure reliable low prices. Dakota Access Pipeline is an important component in making this vision come true. I hope you will support the Dakota Access Pipeline and my 1,500 union middle-class construction workers. Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
For those of you that are lined up and are numbers 51 through 60, if you want to go ahead and go to your seats, that's great. We will then start back up, but with you. The board is intending on recessing until 12:40, and I'm using the clock that's on our laptops, which says 12:15.